What happened scandal Mark Zuckerberg, from Cambridge Analytica to AI superintelligence. When the empire shattered, for years, Mark Zuckerberg was untouchable. He was the Harvard dropout who rewired human communication, the billionaire in a hoodie who built the largest social network in history. His company, first Facebook, then Meta, grew into a digital empire with billions of users. To the world, Zuckerberg seemed unstoppable, the boy genius turned global kingmaker. But in 2018, the illusion cracked. The scandal broke with a single name, Cambridge Analytica. Overnight, headlines exposed that the political consulting firm had secretly harvested the data of more than 50 million Facebook users. That data was allegedly used to manipulate elections, to spread propaganda, to turn democracy itself into an algorithmic game. The world reacted with fury. Politicians accused Zuckerberg of betraying public trust. Users trended number delete Facebook in protest. Markets panicked. Meta lost tens of billions in value in days. And at the center of the storm sat one man, suddenly transformed from visionary into villain. Then came the image that defined his downfall. Mark Zuckerberg before the U.S. Senate. Gone was the hoodie and sneakers. Instead, he wore a stiff navy suit, sitting in silence as senators grilled him about privacy, manipulation, and greed. Cameras zoomed in on his face, expressionless, pale, almost robotic. Millions watched live. One senator delivered the blow that echoed around the world. "Mr. Zuckerberg, would you be comfortable sharing the name of the hotel you stayed in last night?" "No," Zuckerberg replied. "Then why," the senator snapped, "should millions of Americans share their most private details with you?" That silence, broadcast across the globe, became a symbol. The empire Zuckerberg had built on trust now stood accused of destroying it. In that moment, the boy wonder of Silicon Valley became something else, a warning. The scandal did not just stain Facebook, it redefined it. What was once hailed as the company that connected the world was now condemned as the machine that broke it. Stockholders sued, regulators circled, documentaries painted Zuckerberg as a manipulator. Memes mocked him as an alien in human skin, yet scandal was not the end. Instead of retreating, Zuckerberg doubled down. He announced a bold, almost reckless pivot. Facebook would become Meta, and the future would be the Metaverse, a world of virtual reality, immersive spaces, and digital avatars. Billions were poured into this dream, and when it stumbled, he turned again, this time toward artificial intelligence, pledging to build not just tools, but pathways to superintelligence. This is the paradox of Mark Zuckerberg, hailed as a genius, damned as a villain, determined to survive every storm. He once stood at the very top, but what happened next? Join the channel dashboard to uncover the scandal, the rise, the downfall, and the unfinished legacy of Mark Zuckerberg, the making of a prodigy. Mark Elliott Zuckerberg was born on the 14th of May, 1984, in White Plains, New York, and raised in the quiet suburb of Dobbs Ferry. His family was comfortably middle class, not wealthy, but stable. His father, Edward, was a dentist known affectionately as Dr. Z, and his mother, Karen, worked as a psychiatrist. From the beginning, Mark grew up in a household that valued education, discipline, and intellectual curiosity. As a boy, Mark was quiet, stubborn, and unusually gifted. By the age of 12, he had already written his first software program, ZuckNet, a simple communication tool linking his father's dental office to the family home. It was clunky, but it showed something remarkable. Mark was not just using computers, he was building with them. In high school, at the prestigious Phillips Exeter Academy, Mark's obsession with coding deepened. While other students played sports, Mark experimented with algorithms and built small programs. One early invention was a music player that learned a user's tastes, predicting what they wanted to hear. Both Microsoft and AOL reportedly tried to buy the program. Mark turned them down. The teenager already believed he could build something greater on his own. Yet his genius was not without controversy. In 2003, during his time at Harvard, Mark launched FaceMash, a site that pulled photos of students from university databases and allowed others to rank their attractiveness. Within hours, it went viral. Within days, it was shut down. The university accused Mark of breaching privacy rules. Students protested, and yet, beneath the scandal lay the spark of an idea. People were hungry to connect online, even in ways that blurred ethics. This paradox brilliance, mixed with rule-breaking, would define him. At Harvard, Zuckerberg stood out not socially, but intellectually. He was the awkward student in Kirkland House dorm, buried in code, tapping away late into the night. He had a circle of friends, Dustin Moskovitz, Chris Hughes, Eduardo Saverin, who would later become co-founders. But even among peers, Mark was different. He wasn't dreaming of Wall Street jobs or academic accolades. He was building something no one else could yet see. That something became the Facebook. Looking back, it's clear the seeds of his empire were planted early. He grew up in a family that nurtured intellect. He found refuge in programming rather than people. He pushed against rules when they got in the way of progress. And he carried an unshakable belief, even as a teenager, that his creations could shape the future. Mark Zuckerberg did not arrive at Silicon Valley by accident. His roots, family, childhood experiments, Harvard controversies sharpened him into the kind of person who could build, fight, and dominate. But they also carried the flaws that would one day haunt him: arrogance, detachment, and a willingness to cross ethical lines for innovation. The giant was rising, and the world had no idea what was about to hit it. From dorm room to global throne. In February 2004, a 19-year-old Harvard sophomore launched a website from his dorm room, the Facebook. It was designed for Harvard students to create profiles, share photos, and connect. Within 24 hours, more than 1,000 students had signed up. The servers strained under the weight. Mark Zuckerberg knew he had struck something bigger than a school project. Within months, the Facebook spread to other Ivy League universities: Yale, Columbia, Stanford. By the end of the year, it was racing across campuses nationwide. Students couldn't resist. It wasn't just a site, it was a social revolution. Faced with the momentum, Mark made a life-changing choice. He dropped out of Harvard. Along with co-founders Dustin Moskovitz, Chris Hughes, and Eduardo Saverin, he moved to Palo Alto, California, the heart of Silicon Valley. They rented a modest house, turned it into an office, and lived off pizza and caffeine. Out of that chaos, Facebook was born. The company grew rapidly. Napster co-founder Sean Parker joined as president, encouraging Mark to expand aggressively and simplify the brand. Drop just Facebook. The name stuck. Venture capital poured in. By 2005, Facebook was no longer a college novelty, it was a cultural tidal wave. But success bred conflict. Eduardo Saverin, the co-founder who funded early operations, was pushed aside as new investors came in. The Winklevoss twins, fellow Harvard students, sued Zuckerberg, claiming he stole their idea. Lawsuits raged in the background, but the momentum was unstoppable. In 2006, Facebook opened to the public. Millions joined. By 2008, Zuckerberg was a billionaire at age 23. His hoodie and sneakers became symbols of a new era. A young CEO rewriting the rules of business. The climb accelerated with bold acquisitions. In 2012, Facebook bought Instagram for $1 billion, shocking Wall Street. In 2014, it spent $19 billion on WhatsApp, a purchase many thought absurd, but which cemented Facebook's dominance in messaging. That same year, Zuckerberg acquired Oculus VR for $2 billion, signaling ambitions beyond social media. Then came the IPO in May 2012, one of the largest in history, valuing the company at over $100 billion. Zuckerberg stood on Wall Street, still wearing his hoodie, a billionaire commanding global attention. At its peak, Facebook connected more than 2 billion users, nearly one-third of humanity. World leaders relied on it. Businesses lived or died by its algorithms. Movements were born in its feeds. The press hailed Zuckerberg as a visionary. Time named him Person of the Year. Hollywood immortalized his rise in the social network. From a dorm room experiment, Zuckerberg had climbed to the summit of global power. But power invites scrutiny, and in the shadows of this triumph, the seeds of crisis were already sprouting: scandals, mistrust, and storms that would soon test everything he had built. When admiration turns to outrage. By the mid-2010 seconds, Facebook was no longer just a company, it was the nervous system of the modern world. Presidents announced policies on it. Revolutions were organized through it. For billions, it was the digital town square. And at the center of it all stood Mark Zuckerberg, young, powerful, and seemingly untouchable. But the same tools that connected also corrupted. Reports surfaced of extremist groups thriving on Facebook. Fake news went viral. Political manipulation crept into feeds. In 2016, during the U.S. presidential election, Facebook was accused of allowing Russian disinformation campaigns to influence millions of voters. Suddenly, Zuckerberg was not just a tech CEO, he was accused of enabling attacks on democracy. The hammer fell in 2018 with the Cambridge Analytica scandal. A whistleblower revealed that the political consulting firm had harvested data from over 50 million users without consent. That data was allegedly weaponized to target voters and sway elections. The revelations shocked the world. The backlash was immediate. Users launched the Delete Facebook movement. Advertisers pulled spending. Facebook's stock price plunged, erasing tens of billions of dollars. And Mark Zuckerberg was dragged to Washington, D.C. to face the most humiliating moment of his career, the U.S. Senate hearings. The image is unforgettable. Zuckerberg in a Navy suit, sitting stiffly before lawmakers, dodging sharp questions about privacy and manipulation. One senator asked, "Mr. Zuckerberg, would you be comfortable sharing the name of the hotel you stayed in last night?" When he said no, the senator pounced. "Then why should millions of Americans share their lives with you?" That exchange went viral, crystallizing the world's mistrust. From then on, Zuckerberg was no longer the boy genius. He was the villain of Silicon Valley. Inside Meta, turmoil spread. Executives resigned. Engineers questioned the company's ethics. Lawsuits piled up. In 2025, Meta eventually settled an $8 billion shareholder case tied to Cambridge Analytica. But the damage to Zuckerberg's reputation could not be erased, and scandals kept coming. Research leaked that Instagram worsened body image issues among teens. Former employees accused Meta of prioritizing profits over safety. In congressional testimony, whistleblowers declared, "Facebook knows it's harming children, and it isn't stopping." Public opinion turned. Documentaries labeled Zuckerberg a manipulator. Protesters carried his face on placards reading, "Data Vampire." Memes mocked him as robotic, alien, even soulless. The man once hailed as a visionary now symbolized corporate arrogance. Yet Zuckerberg did not retreat. Instead, he made a bold, risky move, rebranding Facebook as Meta and announcing the dawn of the Metaverse. It was meant to erase the past and reinvent the future. But in many eyes, it looked like desperation, a billionaire clinging to dreams after trust had collapsed. This was the price of fame, once celebrated as a genius, now condemned as a threat. Every triumph carried suspicion, every innovation sparked doubt. And Mark Zuckerberg, once admired by the world, now stood in its crosshairs. Reinvention or desperation? After the Cambridge Analytica crisis, many believed Mark Zuckerberg would step back, even resign. His reputation was damaged, his empire shaken. But stepping down was never in his nature. Instead, he chose reinvention. In October 2021, Zuckerberg stunned the world by announcing that Facebook would become Meta. He declared a new mission to build the Metaverse, a digital universe where people could work, socialize, and play through avatars. To him, it was the future of the internet, the successor to smartphones. Meta poured tens of billions into reality labs. The company launched headsets, virtual workspaces, and digital avatars. Zuckerberg pitched visions of offices without walls, concerts without stages, friendships without borders. For a moment, the ambition seemed limitless, but reality was harsher. The hardware was clunky, expensive, and awkward. Users mocked the legless avatars. The metaverse felt empty, cartoonish. Despite massive investment, adoption lagged. By 2023, Meta had lost tens of billions. Headlines called it the $50 billion mistake. Competitors like Apple and Microsoft overtook the narrative with sleeker AR and AI products. Then came humiliating public demos. At Meta Connect, Zuckerberg showcased new AI-powered glasses, but calls failed, AI assistants glitched, and Wi-Fi collapsed mid-presentation. The videos went viral proof. Critics said that Zuckerberg's dream was collapsing, but as the metaverse faltered, AI rose. Zuckerberg quickly pivoted. Meta developed large language models and integrated AI assistants across Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp. By 2025, Meta AI had over 1 billion monthly users, becoming one of the world's most widely used digital assistants. Still, criticism persisted. Activists accused Meta of scraping data without consent, of pushing products without safety checks. Lawmakers warned that Zuckerberg was repeating old mistakes on a new frontier, but he pressed on, speaking of an even grander goal: superintelligence. To some, it was visionary. To others, reckless. Beyond business, Zuckerberg sought balance in his personal life. He trained in mixed martial arts, surprising the world by competing in tournaments. He spent more time with his wife, Priscilla Chan, and their 3 daughters. Through the Chan-Zuckerberg initiative, the couple pledged billions toward curing disease and transforming education, hoping to shift public perception from scandal to service. Yet scars remained. For every act of philanthropy, critics recalled Cambridge Analytica. For every AI breakthrough, skeptics pointed to the metaverse's collapse. Zuckerberg lived in duality, a survivor, but never fully redeemed. Life after the storm was not quiet. It was reinvention under fire, proof that Mark Zuckerberg refused to fade, even when the world doubted him. The private world behind the public storm. Behind the headlines, lawsuits, and billion-dollar gambles lies another story. Mark Zuckerberg, the husband, father, and philanthropist. In 2012, Mark married Priscilla Chan, a pediatrician he met at Harvard. Their wedding was simple, held in the backyard of their Palo Alto home. While Mark built digital worlds, Priscilla grounded him in human ones. Together, they now raise 3 daughters: Maxima, 2015, August 2017, and Aurelia, 2023. Fatherhood changed him. Zuckerberg often posts about reading bedtime stories, teaching his daughters coding basics, and celebrating birthdays away from the spotlight. For a man accused of being cold and robotic, these glimpses into family life show a softer side. Yet his children live under extraordinary circumstances, guarded homes, constant security, and the knowledge that their father is both admired and despised worldwide. Family life merges with philanthropy. In 2015, Mark and Priscilla founded the Chan Zuckerberg Initiative, CZI, pledging to give away 99% of their Facebook shares, then worth $45 billion. Their mission? To advance education, cure disease, and reform justice. CZI funds ambitious projects in gene editing, personalized learning, and medical research. The goal? To help end or manage all disease by the end of this century. Critics argue CZI is reputation repair after scandals, but few deny its scale. If successful, it could impact generations far beyond Zuckerberg's empire. The question of inheritance looms. Will his daughters one day run Meta? Or will they reject the burden of empire, choosing careers in medicine, science, or entirely different paths? Unlike industrial dynasties of the past, the Zuckerberg legacy is not land or factories, it is data, platforms, and influence over billions. The choice of the next generation will define whether Meta becomes a family dynasty or simply a historical chapter. For now, Mark's legacy is double-edged. He is a global symbol admired as the man who connected the world, condemned as the man who broke it. But inside his home, he is simply Dad. A man who, despite scandals and storms, reads fairy tales to his daughters and walks them to school. His true inheritance may not be billions of dollars or global platforms, but the example he sets, whether as a cautionary tale or as proof that ambition can coexist with service. The next generation will decide what the name Zuckerberg truly means: genius or villain. History will never forget Mark Zuckerberg. The debate is not whether he left an impact, it is whether that impact was salvation or disaster. On one side, the evidence is clear. Zuckerberg changed how humanity communicates. Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp connected billions across borders. Families reconnected, movements like the Arab Spring and Me Too spread through his platforms, and small businesses thrived thanks to digital reach. He gave the world a tool no government or company had ever provided: instant connection at global scale. But there is the other side. The same algorithms that united people also divided them. Fake news spread like wildfire. Extremist groups recruited online. Elections were manipulated. Privacy collapsed. Cambridge Analytica showed the dark potential. User data weaponized against its owners. For many, Zuckerberg was not a liberator but an enabler of chaos. The Metaverse tells another part of his legacy. Once hailed as the next internet, it became a cautionary tale. Tens of billions lost. Mocked avatars, a dream too early or too flawed. Yet it also revealed Zuckerberg's defining trait: relentless belief in the future, even at immense cost. AI may become his ultimate legacy. By 2025, Meta AI served over 1 billion people monthly. If artificial intelligence evolves into true superintelligence, Zuckerberg's role in its rise will be remembered forever. Whether that legacy is seen as heroic or catastrophic depends on how humanity handles the technology he helped unleash. Culturally, Zuckerberg embodies contradiction. Hollywood cast him as an anti-hero. Protesters vilified him as a data vampire. Admirers still call him a visionary. He is at once a builder and a destroyer, an innovator and a cautionary tale. Through the Chan Zuckerberg Initiative, he and Priscilla have pledged fortunes to curing disease and advancing education. If these projects succeed, future generations may remember his philanthropy as much as his scandals. His legacy could shift from scandal to service, from distrust to healing. In the end, Zuckerberg's story is not just about wealth or technology. It is about ambition without limit, power without precedent, and responsibility without clear boundaries. He proved one person can reshape society, but also that one person's flaws can ripple across billions. So, what is the final verdict? Legend or warning? Visionary or villain? Perhaps Mark Zuckerberg will remain both. The boy who built an empire from a dorm room, the man who nearly broke trust in the digital age, and the billionaire whose name will forever echo in debates about power, technology, and humanity. He once stood at the very top. But what happened next? That is the legacy of Mark Zuckerberg, unfinished, unresolved, unforgettable.